Wish you all a very happy new year. In this new year, we'll start our first Copilot episode by exploring how we can use Copilot as part of Visual Basic Migration. Those who worked on VB6, it's an old and legacy technology, we used Visual Basic for different form creations and different Windows desktop applications kind of thing. So let us see how Copilot can help in different aspects of VB6 migration. So without further ado, let me directly go to the code base. So I have a Visual Basic code. This is cloned from a public repository. I will share the link in the description box. So I'm going to deal with this one file form. This is student survey DB form with multiple controls and functions, and everything is available here. So looking at the lengthy form, it may not be wise to give the entire code to Copilot and ask Copilot to transition it completely. Instead of that, we will go in a step-by-step manner. We'll start with simple migrations or simple code one. So let us start from the bottom, where I have one function defining a text search change. When the text is search box change, do this particular operation. So I am taking this method and asking Copilot to convert into a C# code. Migration is I want to convert or migrate this VB6 form into WPF, the latest desktop project. Later we will see how we can migrate to a little more modern technology. So we'll start with the WPF. In WPF, I am using C# as the technology. So let me ask Copilot to translate this particular code into C#. So translate my code into C# method. So this is what I needed. So the first simple example, whether Copilot is able to understand my Visual Basic code and convert to C#. That's my requirement. As it's clearly captured, it's a Visual Basic code which needs to be converted into C#. And if I look at the C# syntax, it's captured the event model. If you look at the method, VB method, there is no events or anything specified, even though it's by default the name looks like a event handling function. But when it's converted into C#, it's taken care of that event handling aspect. The proper event handling parameters got added here, the sender event arguments, and if it is null or empty, invoke the load database, another method. And the explanation is also provided here. So two aspects here. Copilot is able to understand Visual Basic 6 projects or the code base. Second, it's able to determine whether the method is a event handler or not. Based on that, the conversion is done. If I have something else, the function is not an event handler, the parameters may not come like this one. We'll try that next. So this is a very simple example. Let us move to a little more complex one, where I have another method here, search student. So this is not an event handler. Looking at this one, it looks like not an event handler. Let us see whether Copilot is going to identify that or not. Inside that, we are clearing one list view and invoking a ADO database. So there is a SQL execution is happening, and the response is added as part of the list view. So that's a little complex case in terms of VB6 code. It's clearing a list view, connecting to the database, running a select statement, and returning the data which is populated to a list view. And it's not an event handler. So let us select this and ask exactly the same way. Translate my code into C# method. So the Copilot is trying to translate into C#. As you can observe right now, the method syntax, it's not captured as an event handler. It's identified by the name of the method. This is not an event handler. So it's a search student normal method, and it start clearing the list view, and then it's defined a SQL connection, and obviously you need to provide your connection string, and the select statement is captured properly based on the information provided here. Obviously there is a syntax changes based on the C# syntax. It's captured the select statement, and the command introduced, and after execution even it's added the command parameter search. So that she is part of, if you look here, the search text is part of the select statement itself, but adhering to the C# standards, passing a search text as part of the SQL directly, it's a SQL injection. Instead of that, we need to pass it as a parameter with a proper parameter defined as part of the select statement. So Copilot is taking care of that SQL injection aspect, also the security aspect when it's translated from VB6 to C#. So it's added the parameter, and the reader read the executed value, and all the fields are getting added into the list view item, and it's again at the end added to the list view itself. So it's a complete support from Copilot in translating the VB6 methods into the corresponding functions in C#. I did it to C#. So let us move into another example. For example, I have a button handling. Multiple buttons are here. Let me look at the different events followed here. There is a btn save and the click event is there. So I'm going to this btn save click, and if you look at this complete code, the method is multiple conditions, and there is a database and insertion to the selection from the database, and then closing it. There is a else portion also there which selects something else till here. So we have a bunch of statement under this particular btn save.click. So it's a lengthy procedure or a lengthy method. So let us see how Copilot will help me to convert this. I'm using exactly the same way. Translate my code into C# method. So simple prompts, and I have passed around 100 lines of code here, a single method capturing 100 lines of code. And you can see that all the initial if conditions are converted properly into C# code, and the first SQL connection is done here, and execution is also done. There is two SQL operations. One is select, the other one is insert. Both are executed properly. But it's difficult to understand or follow without a proper comments kind of thing. So let me ask Copilot to add more comments to my code so that I can relate to this one, whether it's actually using the same aspect or not. So for that purpose, I can ask Copilot add comments to the above recommended C# code for readability. So this is my request. I need exactly the same thing, the same method, but need comments or the explanation on each block of the code which help me to understand whether my code is translated properly or not. So this is what it's going to do. Let me see Is it going to do it properly or not? Looks like the entire comments are coming properly. And let me compare it. Initialize the string to halt missing fields. So check if the button is clicked. That's a first statement. Is missing, okay, this one is missing a string. This is the initialization. And now going to if string empty or not. So each of the string emptiness is checked, and there is a checking for is missing, null or not. This block is captured, and then the data to database, this connection string where it's a select statement for one is the SQL command which uses select command for getting the data, and what it's actually doing. So it's doing checking if the student name already exists in the database or not. If it is existing, it gives a message, otherwise it's going to insert the new student. So in case if it is exist, the message will come, otherwise insert it. So the entire method is getting translated into C#. If you feel some kind of aggregation requirements, or if I need to aggregate all these if conditions, validations into a separate method, I can prompt it a little more different way. Instead of this one, I can specify that let me just select again this save method. It start from btn. I have selected the method again. Now along with the translation, I'm going to ask Copilot to segregate also. Translate my code into C# method. Use the strategy pattern for validations. Add comments for readability. So multiple prompts. I clubbed together all the prompts. Now I am passing that into Copilot. So Copilot needs to do strategy pattern in terms of extracting all the comparisons, or extracting all the validations into a different system altogether. Then based on that, invoke that validations inside the main method. Then add the comments. So here, if you look at this one, it's defined a validation strategy. Validate is the method. Each control, it's saying is null or not. The validation is separated out. In terms of text box and combo box, different validations are done. And inside the btn save, we have the validation strategy for text box, combo box, and it's invoked for each of the things. So it's separated out the kind of validation requirement. If you have a multiple other validation requirement for the text box, you can add it here. That's a strategy pattern. And on top of that, each of the methods have proper comments for readability angle as well. And the complete code is getting translated into C#. So it's supporting the translation or the migration from VB6 into C#. At the same time, you will be able to add comments, add different ways of migration. It's not 1:1 migration. Normally when you migrate from a legacy system to a modern system, you will apply design patterns, different refactoring approaches as part of the migration. So you can take the help of Copilot. It will be able to help you in the migration of VB6 into a modern application. So let us deep dive into some of the other areas. We deal with the code behind the backend code, how we can convert into a C# code. So, but in the front end, we have a UI piece also. We have set up UI forms here. If you look at, there is a different frames defined in my form. Each frame contains a set of methods. So let me go to the last frame. the frame 1 is here, which contain, if I look at the caption is there, there's a text box with the ID, address, and a combo box, 2 combo box or 3, 4, multiple combo boxes, and a date picker text box. So in a simple way, so let us start with a very simple one. I have 2 text boxes selected here. I want to know how Copilot is able to convert this UI component properly into my WPF system. So I am using a WPF as the target system. Convert my code into equivalent WPF controls. So let me see how it's getting converted to a WPF. So there is 2 text box with the multiple properties defined. It needs to be converted to WPF. So WPF normally uses SAML syntax. It's converted. It's completely converted text in age and name. But normally when we deal with the WPF, all these different font family, size and all, the common styles will be segregated as part of the style setters. So let me ask Copilot to segregate that one. Segregate the styles into style setters and rewrite the above recommended code. So it's not a direct conversion. I need to ensure that it's aligned to the WPF standard as well. So as you can see right now, the style is taken into a different style setter where the text box style is defined with the common font family, size and everything, and that is applied as part of the both the text boxes, text age, name, and what's the styles for each of them. So it's a simple example. Now let me move to a little more complex control conversion angle. I'm going to select one of the form altogether here. Maybe there are multiple frames. Let us look at the frame 1. So it's either you can go with a complete form itself or a frame by frame conversion. So I am taking frame, okay, let us see frame 3. It looks a lot of buttons in that. So I am taking frame 3. So it's contain btn exits, edit, save, delete, add. So around 4 to 5 buttons. That is what it's doing. So let me ask Copilot to convert. Normally frames is denotation for the groups. Different groups or tabs in WPF. You can use the group box or tabs in WPF. So let me convert this frame into WPF group box. So either I can use the group box concept in WPF or a tabs in WPF denoting each of the frames. So let me take the first one, group box, which will group the buttons properly, and it gives the details also why it's done the grouping properly in a different manner. The orientation is horizontal, indicate that the buttons will come in a horizontal way. So it's added all the 5 buttons: add, save, edit, delete and exit, and it's used a default of properties for the group box, or the properties are defined here. I think it's coming from here. There is 195 is coming from here, and the font size also coming from here, the family. So the data is also, the styles also copied from the source VB6 form. So it's a direct conversion. In the form, frame by frame you can convert. The code behind is able to convert. So all looks good. Now WPF is one angle. As I am working in Mac, WPF will not work in a Mac system. So for me, a desktop application will be a supported or multi-platform desktop application technology needs to be done. So I have one of the such system here. It is Electron JS. Electron JS is technology we use for cross-platform desktop application creation. It's a Node.js based system. So I have a sample symbol application. It's here, which is let me just start it. It start the Electron UI, and this the output of this one, hello from Electron renderer. So I'm trying to get the help of Copilot. My VB6 form I need to convert into an Electron app so that it works across multiple platforms, Windows, Mac, Linux, any of the systems. So same frame, I'm asking Copilot to convert it. So let me just ask convert this code into Electron JS UI component. Normally Electron use the HTML based component. So let us see whether Copilot is able to understand Electron and convert the VB6 into an Electron clause. Cool, it's able to create the complete stack for me. Let me see whether it's going to work properly or not. For that, I just copying this into my Electron application. I just added an HTML and a body tag here. Under that, the code is pasted, and in the header, I will add head. Under head style, let me add these two styles as well. And I'm bringing this again back to here. So I have everything done, and let me link this HTML as part of my main screen using an anchor tag /sam.html. Go to sample. So this is my app. So let us see whether it's able to render it properly. So the main screen is loaded. Go to sample. You can see that the HTML controls which is generated by the code Copilot, including the student information action, the title or the labeling also came properly, with some of the CSS effect by CSS is also there. It's having a symbol effects kind of thing. So the conversion of the code into not only to WPF into a modern technology like Electron is possible. So we did the conversion of UI into Electron. Let us take a conversion of backend code. Let me go into the last again search student. It contains database access also. Let us see whether it's able to convert to Electron. Convert my code into Electron JS function. So this should go into the code behind, and it use either JavaScript or JavaScript is mainly used for Electron. So let us see how the database connection and everything is rewritten into a JavaScript specific way. As you can see that it's added some of the SQLite or the initial settings as well. These two lines are additional ones indicating how to connect to different database angle. SQLite is used here. You can replace with your own database. And search student started with the SQL command. Again here also it's taken care the param angle. The SQL injection is avoided. The parameter is constructed separately. As part of the execution, we are passing the parameters, and once the result is back, you are getting added that as part of the list view items. It's getting added here. So the conversion of the UI and the backend into Electron or into a WPF code from Visual Basic 6.0 is possible with the support of Copilot. Copilot is there to support you in the migration of Visual Basic 6.0 into latest technologies like WPF, Electron. You select your own technology. Use proper prompts, use proper ways of conversion or migration that will enable or give you more suitable results. Thank you.